Again. And we are going to have fun today. So we are in 2023, which I'm really excited about. It. I think this is going to be a wonderful opportunity in wholesaling. And if you guys didn't catch our live yesterday, you got to go check it out. It was all about AI and wholesaling. Me and Zach actually been working a few months and playing around with it. And if you have time and you want to check this topic out, check out the live yesterday on Flip with Rick on the YouTube channel. Absolutely amazing stuff. And we actually used real-time examples and it was really cool. But today we're talking all about direct mail and how to scale it up to 100K a month. I have pretty much mastered this. Full disclosure, I didn't do it overnight. I took a much longer time than most people, but I'm going to show you step by step how to use direct mail if you've never really used it before, the uniqueness of why you want to consider using this strategy once you get established in wholesaling, and most importantly, how to stack the bills up to earn 100K a month just in the direct mail section alone. But before I do it, do me a favor. Make sure you use the comment sections. You introduce yourself. Let me know what market you're in. And guys, I'm going to open your eyes today. If you haven't used direct mail before, you are missing out. So as usual, put in the comments there. If you want to go on one-on-ones, I missed some of you guys yesterday. So I take everybody in order they're coming on. So I will jump on that. But you guys know what to do. We are all about wholesaling. I like to have fun doing this. I have ADHD, and I believe the subject can be boring. For the most part, most people teach it are extremely boring. And I got to wake you up and liven you guys and have fun with it. So the really cool thing about wholesaling is you can adapt it to your lifestyle. So if you think I'm just loud and obnoxious, that's fine. But if you're like me, you're probably a really good fit for wholesaling. Check out this video as we warm everybody up to wholesaling. I love what we do. Let's get it on, guys.
Get the fuck out of bed, bitch. Go. Get up, and get the guy go. Time to wake up, bitch. Get up. Get up. Get up.
That pretty much sums up how I feel about wholesaling. It's fun, it's unique, it's different. And here's the really cool part is if you do it correctly, you can control your time, your destiny, your financial outcome, and most importantly, the time that you want to spend with the correct people in your life. So I've always loved this business. I came from the corporate world. And without further ado, let's dive into it. I'm going to take about 15 minutes, talk about the direct mail, and then we'll do a Q&A. If you ask questions online, we'll do that in the chat section, or you can do the one-on-one on the masterminds. Go over to Wholesaling Houses for Real. Click on the video today, and you'll see the link to StreamYard, and that will get you in line to do that. So let's talk about it. By the way, anybody guys tells you, oh, direct mail is a scam and it's ridiculous, it means they don't understand it. So when direct mail doesn't work, it means you never really did it. It means you made one shot at it and you quit. Now, you all know that me and Zach are a big proponent of not starting out with direct mail. Why? Because honestly, most of you guys are on a limited budget, and I understand that. So I want you to get some deals under your belt. And then once you can get at least 5 deals, guys, at minimum 5, but I prefer you have 10. You need to seriously explore direct mail because you're missing out on a easy lead stream that kind of is automated. And honestly, if you are a single operator and you have some cash to work on this, you really need to pay attention to today's live because this is all about you. Imagine if you can make $100,000 a month solely by doing direct mail. I do other methods too, but I'm just telling you, direct mail easily fulfills this within my business, and I'm going to show you how. So The first thing you got to understand with the direct mail, there's something that happens before direct mail. And if you get this part wrong, no matter what you do in direct mail, it's not going to work. So number one, you have to understand, you have to become a list ninja. And I don't use this word lightly, is if you will spend more time playing with lists, playing with the filters and figuring it out and finding out, try to get that perfect list, you will do so much better. Quality trumps quantity any time of the day. And if you were like me when you started out and you were on a limited budget, your list is as important, if not more important, than the actual direct mail itself. Because if you got a crappy list, no matter what you send, you can send $100 bills in the mail, people are not going to respond to it. So first and foremost, just like we teach you over at freewholesaling.com, you've got to understand lists. The better you get lists, the more time you play with them, the better you'll be at it. I have met so many people that go, oh, I did direct mail. The first thing I always ask them, if they're struggling direct mail, show me your list. And that usually answers the question right there. If you do not put a lot of thought, a lot of energy into this, and they go, Rick, how do I do that? Go over to freewholesaling.com. We teach you how to do it in detail, but list is everything. Quality trumps quantity any day of the week. When I first started out, if I only had $1,000 or 500, which was often, I would make that list perfect. Sometimes I would spend way too much time on the list, but I come from the school of thought is you can't learn enough about lists, because once you identify a trend on your list, you can capitalize it and push all your chips in with direct mail. You can do it with cold calling. You can do it with SMS. It doesn't matter. But I'm here to tell you, your lists are absolutely everything. So number one, make sure you're getting quality lists. How? Government lists are probably the ones that you want to attack because it should have the highest motivation. You're in a market that's going backwards, and we need to find the most motivated people. Number two, the driving for dollars, that is a list. You can attack it with direct mail too. It's not a bad approach. Driving for dollars and government lists will give you the highly most targeted ninja list, in my opinion. So once you understand the list, you can move forward with direct mail. If you do not understand lists, do not even attempt direct mail, because you're going to fail miserably. It's so important you understand the list. So because me and Zach teach you guys how to pull government lists, how to do the driving for dollars, how to do the reverse driving for dollars. Once you understand that and you get your list dialed in, as time progresses, you'll talk to more people. When you get to the point where you want to add direct mail, it's perfect because you've already figured out the list. Most people fail in direct mail because they don't understand lists. So become a list ninja. Do not take this lightly. You cannot spend enough time cultivating your list. I'm in this business. I'm going on 21 years. I am a geek in this stuff. I love the right list. And it is all trial and error, but I have more wins than I have losses. And if you can stack up the wins, you can do amazing things with it, guys. Do not leave out the list. So going forward, if you're going to get in direct mail, you have to know your budget. You can't guess on this, guys. So it's real simple. I am a high advocate for postcards. They're simple, they're to the point, and they're the cheapest way to do it. I know letters are more effective, but they're almost twice the cost. And most of you guys put way too much stuff on letters. So when it comes to probates, I'm all about letters. They're very small lists, and I'm a huge advocate for that. Outside of that, no. Unless you're going to do commercial properties or much more advanced multifamily, postcards are just fine for single family. Why? Because I've tested this out over 20 years, and I'm here to tell you, you will do very well with postcards. End of story. So if I have to do a budget, you got to understand, on average, it's going to cost you roughly 50 cents a postcard. So just do your math. Figure out what you can afford. You can figure out the number of prospects, and you can easily go to the next step, which I'm going to show you here. But I tell you guys, if you do not know what your marketing budget is, you cannot do direct mail. You cannot guess on your budget. And when you set a budget, you need to set it and plan it out for 12 months. And you have to give direct mail 1 quarter. In 1 quarter, direct mail should easily pay for itself. What is a quarter? 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. After 3 months, I want you to look at a marketing schedule. After 3 months, direct mail should pay for itself. You're going to have to plan for 3 months of your own money to fund your direct mail campaign. A lot of people understand. So a lot of times we go January all the way through December. So if you planned on starting out, go, listen, the first quarter, I'm going to spend $1,500 a month. So that's fine. So that's $1,500. What is that? $4,500. You need to have $4,500 set aside. That's how it works. That's why I want you guys to go out and get some deals under your belt and set some of that money aside for future marketing endeavors just like this. But so many people go, well, if I do $1,500 a month, 1,500 times, what's it, times 12? What is that? That's like 18, what is it, 18 grand? Somebody do the math on it for me. I should have done this ahead of time, but I didn't. 1,500 times 12. That's 18 grand. A lot of you will look at the 18 grand and go, oh my God, I can't do this. No. Look at the first 3 months. After 3 months, you should be able to close a deal from your direct mail campaign and be able to fund the next 9 months. Most wholesalers can't get past these numbers. They don't do a schedule. They don't know what their budget is, and they're terrible at creating lists. So guys, I'm giving you information in order so you can understand how this works. Bear with me, I'm moving on. Now, once you do that, the next step is you have to choose a marketing medium. So we already know you're going to do postcards, right? So if you know you're going to do postcards, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. You've got to have the best one that you think's going to get the highest rate of return call. So number one, always pick something that does not have trade bait on it. Anytime someone says a final notice or urgent notice or call me, we have a gift waiting for you, it is a recipe for disaster in wholesaling, and you're going to have problems from state agencies, from the federal government, and you're going to have a lot of people hating you when they call you. I did not get in this business to be screamed at. I get screamed at enough. Please make sure you find a unique piece of mail, specifically a postcard, that does not have a ridiculous gimmick on it. Final notices do not work. And honestly, the FTC is going to come down on you and you're going to create problems. You have to understand direct mail is still one of the, why it's so advantageous is number one, you can scale it. And number two, it's legal. So don't do something like crazy. I'm not all about reinventing the wheel, but I did learn over time is if you use what every other mail house does, all the other investors are using it. And this is where you can really get run over in saturation. So how do we prevent this? Guys, if you want to learn more on how to do this, where is it? I'm going to show you right here. So first thing is I want everyone to start out at freewholesaling.com. End of story. If you don't have a budget for this, go out, get some deals under your belt, and then make this as part of your future projects. But if you're already at this stage, maybe you closed your first 100 grand, you go, Rick, dude, you got to show me how this works. This is the perfect video for you. So the next step you want to do, where is it? I'm going to put it up here. I know I got the link somewhere. Actually, I'm going, so you got to go to freewholesalingfirst.com. If you want to get details on really deep diving on how to do direct mail and how to duplicate my system, actually give this stuff away for free. I know I could sell it for a ton of money, but you know what my mission is here. So go over to mailingmastery.com and I'm giving you kind of the bullet points to get you excited about doing this because it really works well. So a unique piece of mail. Here's a really cool part. Go over to Mailing Mastery. I go into detail on how to leverage this. We have created a postcard that I tested out for over a year and a half. And I sat down and got so frustrated with not getting deals from direct mail. And then I looked at what are the two biggest responses. So I went through 3 years of data. And number one was take me off your list. And number two is what is your offer? So I helped engineer. I didn't do it all by myself, but we call the ROS postcard. And that stands for Rapid Offer System. If you go over to Mailing Master, we show you how to do it. I give it away for free, guys. I have a vendor, a very highly reputable vendor, the best in the business. I share it all on mailingmastery.com. honestly, guys, I'm not a printer. I used to print stuff. I'm telling you, don't print stuff yourself. So they have this one, and what it does is it has an offer, and it's built in automatically. It has an API where it comes up with value, so you don't have to use your brain, and you just adjust how much you want to offer on it. And we show you how to do it in detail. And if you want to talk to a customer service rep, they'll show you how to do it. My goal is here is to educate you, to stimulate you, and get you started if you want to take the direct mail journey. This is not required. It's just for people that are already closing deals and they want to get into direct mail because it's consistent. So the unique piece is it has an offer on it. Well, Rick, why would you want to put the offer on it? I'm supposed to hide that offer. My data says sellers are sick of being played. And so if you go ahead and throw the white elephant out in the room, it intrigues them to call you. They will call you even to tell you have the price wrong, or how'd you come up with that price, or I love that price. The name of the game in direct mail is to make sure they call you. If they don't call you, you're done. So my mail piece is the perfect amount. I spent over $60,000 just in postage to prove my point. The first one I did, I bombed massively because I offered way too much. No, actually, the first one I offered way too little and only got a few phone calls. And I go, oh, because I was scared everyone was going to want retail. Then my next mailing is offered way too much and everybody called and I was in realtor land and it was miserable. And then what we did is we found the perfect formula of what percentage to offer that makes people call you that don't want to deal with a realtor and understand if you have the right list. Remember, you're going to find problem properties. So if you have the right list, the ROS postcard is the perfect way to create intrigue. And here's the really cool part. The only people that really get a leg up on this are people that go through me because I'm the only person that takes the time to train this. I've trained my mail house, and my mail house actually does customer service on this. And we constantly improve the product. Why? Because this is the sole product I use in my business. And I'm literally sharing with you step by step on how I do it. Go over to mailingmastery.com. I go into grave detail. I can't do the whole thing in this. So once you pick that unique mail piece, by the way, I used to use the Google image before. I used it for 3 years. It got out of control. People thought I was flying drones over their house. It got kind of funny, but it was unique. But then everybody used it and the uniqueness lost it. I've created the ROS postcard where it's like a backdoor entry. You have to go through me and you have to go through some training on it. And I do it all for free. And the idea is you have to be consistent with it. And those that want to take the time and understand it, they all do well. It's not like one or two people do well. I have hundreds of people that use this. You go, well, Rick, a lot. No, 100 people all over the country is not a lot of people. And most likely this technique's not being used in your market. You're going to be blown away by how many people call you. But you have to understand, you have to play with it a little bit. You're going to have to adjust numbers. What works in my market is probably going to be different in your market. So we create the ability for you to adjust the offer amount. And I go into detail. And anyone who ever needs help, I just help you guys out for free with it. Once you do that, you have to automate your mailing. When I first started direct mail, you're going to laugh at this. I literally did it all in my house. Why? Because there was no automated mailing houses. Everything was manual. And honestly, I think I spent about $8,000 in printing equipment. I had the little sticker stamp on it. I had the automated printers. And I got to be honest with you, I hated it. It was a nightmare. I ruined an entire room in my home. I thought my wife was like going to leave me because the printer would run all night. And you constantly have to babysit these machines for jams. And when you got something ripping off 40 and 50 cent postage on there and it goes out of whack, you can smoke through thousands of dollars very quickly. Guess what? After all those years of doing it, here's a little secret. It's easier, it's cheaper, and it will save you a ton of time if you use a mail house. Now, I use open letter marketing. I've been in this business a long time. They by far bend over backwards for me like no other company. I've tried them all. I'm telling you, all the other companies, there's nowhere even close to this company. They're up in the northeast part of the United States. I know the owner personally. They really care about their business, and they are actually real estate investors that do printing, and they understand it. And I love their customer service. I love talking to people in the United States. Guys, we're talking all about AI. It's going to be changing, and I'm going to make sure that they always answer the phone with a real person. I'm not a big fan on the robot thing, but I understand where it's going. So automation is key. So you could, once you have your list, once you have your postcard and you get it dialed in, this takes a little bit of learning. You can automate it. Why is that important to you? Because as a single operator, you can now scale your business. You don't stop your driving for dollars. You don't stop your cold calling. You don't stop your SMS. This just adds a wing. It's like putting your business on steroids. Why? Because leads are coming to you. They're inbound leads and they work really well. Now, here's another little secret a lot of people don't understand about direct mail. It's the first time you do direct mail, you have to learn about your flow. The crazy thing about direct mail is you don't have control when the mail drops. So if I drop, I'm giving you a big number because I do much bigger numbers because I know how this works. If I drop 10,000 mail pieces, I do a thing that's called batching your mailings. And what does that mean? It means if you're brand new to this, you have to understand how the lead flow goes. The most important piece you can understand once you get the mail out is you got to answer your phone. So in the beginning, it's going to be you. Let's just be honest. You want to learn how to answer the phone because remember, if they call you, you have a chance. So instead of overwhelming you, I used to drop 10,000 pieces. I get 400 phone calls all within like a 3-day period. It's overwhelming. So in the beginning, so you can learn how it works, you have the option, and it's built into the automation through open letter marketing. It's called batching your mailing. You can split it up, I think, up to 8 times. So if I took 10,000 pieces, I could split it across, like if I was, now say we're going to do 3,000 pieces and you're brand new to it. I probably split that up over 4 to 6 weeks. Why? Because you got to figure out the flow. And the really cool part is the mail house does it for you. And they send you confirmation every time they drop your mail. So you know what's been dropping. And it's extremely consistent because I don't want you to outspend your leads. When you do this brand new, make sure you batch your mailings, you split them up. Once you get comfortable and you understand the flow, you can narrow that timeline down. And if you do, you have to understand that up front because a lot of you will burn, like you'll drop 5,000 pieces and you get overwhelmed 3 days and then the phone doesn't ring the rest of the time. So I rather you spread it out. And then if you're going on the appointments, you're answering the phones and you're doing dispo, you've got to have some time in there. And by the way, you just can't take direct mail and drop 20 grand on it and expect to double your business. It doesn't work that way. The biggest thing you have to understand in direct mail is it's all about consistency. So remember, you have to do a marketing schedule. Once you have a budget, you create at 12 months. Don't get anxiety. You just got to focus on the first 3 months because it's going to pay for the next 9 months and you have to do it. So not only do you put a date, not only do you put a amount you're going to spend a month, you're going to back it out and figure out how many mail pieces you need to do it. And then next to it, you're going to put a date you have to drop that mail by. And remember, I teach you all about self-accountability. If you're going to keep yourself accountable, you mark off those dates. If you start to get behind, understand you have to turn it up. You cannot do direct mail by feel. It does not work that way. It lags behind. So if you do direct mail and after the first 2 weeks, you're not getting enough phone calls and you go, I quit, don't start it. You have to wait an entire quarter to see the profitability of it. So many of you guys are so used to driving for dollars and cold calling, which I love. Direct mail is much more patience, but I will tell you it's much more scalable because you could drop 10, 15, 20,000 mail pieces if you have the team to deal with it. In my opinion, I'm going to let a little cat out of the bag. Anything more than 10,000 pieces requires a dedicated employee to answer the phone. It's just too much. I've tried it a million ways because if you can't answer the phone calls, you lose your competitive advantage. But I'll go into that. I go into engraved detailing at mailingmastery.com on the bottom there, and I want you to understand it. So I'm going to do one other thing here. We're talking about 100. Well, Rick, how do I make 100 grand? You haven't told me how to make 100 grand yet. Okay, well, I'll show you. Get this thing to work here. So, because so many people just, I make 100 grand. It's more than that. So you start in Q1. Remember, that is 3 months. So when you first start out, guess what? Hopefully you're going to get one deal done and just say you make 15 grand off that deal. Rick, that's not 100 grand. How do I get 100 grand? Hold on, I'm coming to you. You got to understand this. Q2 is now rolling. Now we're going to use money from this 15 grand to fund that. So remember, Q2, if we're spending 1,500 a month, that's 4,500. You're going to push 4,500 in to pay for that one. Now, you're going to be getting contracts that you had under contract. You're going to be finding cash buyers, and most likely, you're going to increase that to 35 grand. Now, I'd like to tell you this is a beautiful graph that goes up and down. It's not. Q3, you might make 18 grand, but the key is it's self-funding. And that's what you guys, this is like any other business. Once you can get the business to pay for itself, it's playground time. And then what happens, like Q4, you might make $45,000. And then eventually what happens, you're going to have a big fat deal. The best deals always, in my opinion, come from some sort of direct mail. Someone just says, listen, I want to move on. So by the next year, we're going in 2024, you're going to get consistent because all this mail is stacking up. All these leads, your follow-up system gets better, and you start to have 50 and 60K months. And then by Q4, you are well on your way to 100K. I never said you can do this overnight. I've had months where I've made $250,000. I've had months where I made zero. It's the truth of the business. And if you understand within 1 year to 18 months, you can easily do the 100K, would you start now? And I'm telling you, once I figured this out and I polished it out, I have never looked back. It's like automatic money, but I have to work for it, and you have to be extremely consistent. So guys, that is like everything I know on direct mail. Let me take this off here. I love direct mail. It works really well. Check out mailingmastery.com. I have nothing to sell you there. Like if you think you're going to hit with a course, I just give it to you. Why? Because I want you all to succeed. Full disclosure, I don't want you to start out with direct mail, especially if you don't have any money for a budget, because you need to learn to talk to people. You need to learn the flow, and it is a process. Now, once you start making some money and stuff, it is incredible what you can do with it. So I'm reading comments here. I'm trying to do everything at once. So lists, guys, you guys just make sure you have the right lists, and that's it. But do not take direction from direct mail off the internet. I find a lot of these forums and stuff, people go, is direct mail working for you? You go, oh, it bombed. Then you go, well, I'm never touching direct mail. Remember, only take advice from people that you want to be in their place. Understand that. So if someone tells you direct mail sucks, ask them. Honestly, I just move on. But you're going to have to give me specifics to knock off direct mail. Why? Because I've used direct mail for almost 20 years now. I have never had a year where I wasn't highly profitable. So my average return on my direct mail, just for full disclosure, is almost a 5-time return. Yeah. Okay, Rick. Yeah. If I invest 5 grand into it, I make 25. I didn't get that overnight. In the beginning, you're looking just to cover your cost, then make it profitable, and then start stacking your deals, because it's momentum that builds. You get all these leads following up, and then you learn how to do follow-ups. It's a complete mind-blowing experience with direct mail. And today, with the automation of clicking your button and working with reputable companies, and guys, here's to tell you, I've tried every little tiny small printer. I've tried the huge giant printers. Find someone you connect with. If it's open letter marketing, then that's great. I do a lot of business with them. They have all my direct mail business, and they understand what I do. And I tell them I'm creating a bunch of mini-me's to do exactly what I do. Everyone's in a different market. Everyone has a different budget. Everyone has different circumstances. And you have to look at the entire thing when you do it. You can't just, so when somebody says one size fits all, they didn't do it. Anybody that didn't try direct mail for at least 3 months, I guarantee you they will fail. End of story. So let's see here. Let me answer some questions and let's get started. So if you have any questions about wholesaling, if you have anything about direct mail, I am wide open today. So it's kind of use it or lose it with me. If you guys are new to this business, make sure you go over to freewholesaling.com. That's the best place to get started. It's going to answer 90% of your questions, and it's scrolling on the bottom there for you. And most of you guys I talk to, I'm going to direct you, go, hey, did you look through the course? You got to put the effort into it. I can't make you do it. Everyone's going to have to go through the journey. So let me see here. I got questions start up here. So someone says, are you sure your postcards won't get mistaken for junk mail? What do you mean, am I sure? Junk mail is junk mail. Junk mail is determined by the individual user. And here's the reality. I've done test after test. I've sat through studies. I'm a geek about this stuff. They test people on how they handle their mail. The more flashy your solicitation, the shiny, glossy, the oversized. I've tried all that crap. It doesn't work. You know what works? White paper, black ink with something that creates curiosity. So let me ask you this. Put in the comments, what do you think is the number one thing people key on their house? You all talk to motivated sellers. What is the one thing they obsess about in their house online? Put it in the comments, and I'm going to show you why this works. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. You can put it in the comments, and I'll show you why. Junk mail is a mindset, a mentality. Why? Let me ask you, why do you think Domino's, Bed Bath & Beyond, by the way, Bed Bath & Beyond is close to bankruptcy, so it's not a good example. But why do you think these people put this crap in the mail? Do you think they enjoy spending the money? They get a return on their money. It works. It induces people to take action to go to a brick and mortar store. You're not a brick and mortar store. So Winston's kind of got it right. Let me cut to the chase here. It's money. And more specifically, it's the Zillow Zestimate. They obsess about it. You guys obsess about it in your house. Here's the best one, right? Value. Homer's correct. So value is, in today's world, is called the Zestimate. So my idea is, why don't we just attack them on their Zestimate? And that's all we do on my direct mail with ROS. And it works well. You know why? Because people either call me to chew me out about it or ask me for more. I don't care which way they go as long as they call me. I don't put a lot of information on the card on purpose. The more crap you put on a letter or a postcard, the less intrigued people are to call you. There is no intrinsic value. So if I put the value of your house on a postcard and go, listen, here's your offer, give me a call. I have a deposit waiting for you. A lot of times you'll call and go, hey, Rick, that's not the value of my house. You got it wrong. Okay, well, let's talk about it. Well, do you think I'm in realtor mode? No, because if I got the right list off my government list, driving for dollars, whatever I got, I know their house has challenges. So the odds of them having a challenge with that house and them questioning the value of it, the rest is up to me. All I need to do is figure out how to qualify them, how to build rapport, and how to turn my script into a conversation. And that's how I get deals, guys. So many people send me postcards. There's like 300-400 words on it. Do you know most people will read the first 2 sentences and they're done with their mail? So the question is, back on the question was, do you think it's going to look like junk mail? Some people think it does. Who cares? I only need a few individuals to get it. It is a numbers game. Only a small percentage need to call and reach out to me. Those are the tired and most frustrated people that need help. That's all I care. A majority of the direct mail you send out is going to be thrown in the garbage. If you can't deal with that, don't do it. But if you think about Domino's, Little Caesars, Bed Bath & Beyond, what are the other coupons out there? Home Depot does a ton of them. The reason they do it is because it works. Do you think these companies would send it out if they didn't get a return on their investment? And they're getting fractional returns, like tiny percentages. I'm giving you 4 and 5 times returns on this stuff. So I love it. It works. You have to create intrigue. Yes, it is kind of junk mail, but it doesn't quite look like your typical junk mail, because when you have their name, a property address on there, and an offer, it intrigues the crap out of people. And they go, oh my God, I got to talk to them. And there's so many people have copied this. The problem is they miss the gist of how it works. If you don't understand the logic and how you're going to make that offer, you will never get it. If you offer too much, you get nothing but retail people. If you have the wrong list, it doesn't work. And if you offer too little, nobody calls you back. So go to mailingmastery.com. I figured the whole thing out for you. I'm telling you, it works. I don't share in your profits. Maybe you share in a deal with me. Honestly, I spent my entire 20 years trying to figure out direct mail. I have got it so dialed in right now. I can penetrate any market and make it work. Some are more challenging. And by the way, I've used this all over the country and it works. Here's the key is I don't give a crap what offer I put on it. As long as they call me and I know they're on one of my specialized lists, I'm good to go. And that's what you got to understand on it. So let's jump on some lives and see if we can help some people out here. Fred, you there? I missed you yesterday. I know you were waiting, so I tried to put you on first today.
How you doing, Rick? You well?
Good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Yesterday I wasn't actually. I was just in the StreamYard, just
Okay.
trying to be here. I want to be here every day until I get some action.
Awesome, man.
That's me being honest. I'm pleased to speak to you. I spoke to Zach a few times, and it's a pleasure to finally get to speak to you as well.
Perfect.
I promised Zach that I would chase up with somebody. I was a bit too open, and I spoke about somebody that I had potentially to create a contract with, and he hasn't answered to me since. Whether or not it's somebody else to sort of chase him up, who knows? That's part and parcel of it. I'm used to sort of, it's not a deal till it's in the till. That's what we say. So
exactly.
So yeah, I'm just here, man. I'm just. But while I've got you on the phone, I mean, I've been taking notes vigorously every day, and I plan to do this until I hit the jackpot, man. I'm not going to give up.
Got it. That's the way you do it, man.
Yeah, I am there. But I want to ask you this, Rick, and I know that you've given. I've watched some videos lately, and you've said about some markets, but I'm taking the approach which you guys have suggested. Until I make some money, don't make an investment. Till I've made $100,000 out of this, then I can start investing back into it. All right, I'm gonna perfect the sort of craft of speaking to the people, following up, etc., getting the value from them. I know I'm a bit energetic, Rick, but I try to get out as much as I can. Right. So long and short of it is this. If you was going back to basics, if you was in my position, you've not done a deal before, and all that you've got as far as at your fingertips is for sale by owner, where do you concentrate? Excuse me.
You just call through them. It's a numbers game.
As far as market, as far as state, market, counties, was there anywhere or?
So a lot of people think they're going to trip like me or Zach up on how I do it. I've spent 20 years chasing this business. And remember, I started out in a different time. So getting Zach's version and my version, actually, I think helps people out on these lives because I started the old school way and I still use a lot of the old school method, whereas my son taught me a lot. Like I didn't do cold calling because number one, we didn't have we had to manually dial one by one, and it was really hard to get phone numbers back then. It was almost impossible unless you were associated with a large corporation or you had like an endless budget. Today, it's kind of seamless in how you can get it. The downside is a lot of people can get the same information, so there's more competition than ever. So number one is people got to understand you have to come up with a plan and you have to execute it. Execution is the hardest part. Everyone's got amazing plans. When it comes down to everybody I talk on these streams, if I get into the mechanics of the execution, that's typically where you're going to find the biggest roadblock. So I would always tack any type of government list, specifically I made a living on code violations for 3 years. It's all I did, guys. Like it wasn't easy. It's just nobody else was using it at the time. And then once I started doing deals, I would look at the year end with my accountant and he'd go, "Hey, how did you find these 4 deals?" I'm like, I don't know. And then then I started doing Intel, and that's how I found probates. I did probates completely by accident. First 7 years, I didn't even touch a probate. I did them by accident. I actually got them from driving for dollars because I looked for old, crappy, ugly houses, and most of them fit the bill. Then once we decided to extract that list from the courthouse, it was a complete change. It was unbelievable. And I got to tell you, it changed how I did my business. Hold on, let me block this person. So knowing that if your plan is to do this on the hustle, grind, muscle, and I'm fine with it because a lot of you are doing that and I'm fine with it. The advantage that number one, it's more frustrating in the beginning. I'll be the first one to tell you. But remember, your anxiety is put into the hard work. Imagine if you drop 10 grand on something you don't completely understand, and if it doesn't work out, you're done.
Sure.
To me, that is more stressful.
Hmm.
And I did a little bit of both in the beginning. I got much more of a reward getting a deal with little to none of my money, as opposed to the route where I spent $3,000 to $5,000 on direct mail, because it was horrifying.
Mm.
And I didn't understand how direct mail worked. And I had someone coach me along with it, and they gave me really bad advice. And I lost a lot of money in the beginning. That's why I'm so like, don't start out with direct mail.
Hmm.
The reason is I didn't know how to talk to customers.
Mm.
I didn't know how to negotiate. I didn't really know how to identify anything. And by your ability to go through thousands of people, which is what it's going to take,
Mhm.
you now have learned a skill set that would probably cost you $10,000 on your own. And although you don't feel like you get traction, you are
Mm.
making unbelievable progress that you can't see.
Yes.
And it's hard for you guys to see that, but I can see it after 20 years.
Mhm.
I'm telling you right now, there is more value in understanding and learning and getting an education how to talk to people. Remember, once you pay for a lead, it's more pressure to convert it.
Sure.
And most of you are not prepared for that kind of pressure.
Mhm.
Take any company that does a PPC. Do you think they hand their PPCs to people that have never spoke to people?
Only go to the top.
Absolutely not. Guys, a lot of the PPC, ready? For one click, it can cost $500 for that one lead. I don't even do PPC. It doesn't that it's work. I don't have the energy, or I don't want to spend the time in doing it. And I've watched most people do it in my market. It is a big, big boy budget, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. To me, it's just too stressful. I'm sorry. And in the beginning, it was a little bit cheaper. Facebook ads is kind of the same thing. If you guys can figure out how to get leads organically and you master it, oh my God, dude, like imagine. So it's the same thing is like anything else you do in life. So like, what do you enjoy doing outside of work?
I enjoy doing some drifting. I've got like a BMW that we take to the drift track.
Correct.
I
So the
enjoy.
first time you went, did you do it in a fancy car? You
No,
probably
she's a
rented
beater.
one or used your buddies,
No,
right?
Smash. She's a beater. We paid small money for it, and we was car park warriors, just skidding around.
And so how long you been doing it now?
Well, to be honest with you, Rick, I've probably done it 2 handfuls of times in the few
Yeah.
years that we've had the cars.
But like, think about what you've learned in your experience now. And if you were going to go out and buy a car to do it now, it's like, holy crap. The difference from when I started and wholesaling is the exact same thing. And that's why the problem is you guys don't see instant results, because you're in a society that teaches you how to get instant dopamine hits by getting instant satisfaction. Wholesaling is not that way. Now, the good thing is you don't have to wait years, but you do have to sometime wait months. And as painful as what you're going through, I would stick to government list, any type of high motivation free list, FISBOs, and I would log my time. So a lot of people go, well, how many calls do I get a deal? I go, it doesn't work that way. I've seen people get it on their third call or their 3,000th call. So why don't you look at it a different way? See how many hours you log calling? Get somebody to 1,000 hours logging. And if you can't make progress within 1,000 hours, then we have to have a different conversation. And I'm just telling you, that's what it takes. Guys, the other way around it is, imagine if you did a direct mail campaign, you were doing 10,000 pieces a month. You wouldn't sleep at night. I used to do that. It was horrifying. I didn't like it. And it was so much pressure on me. And I didn't know how to, the problem is I didn't know how to convert the leads, because it takes experience to talk to them. So if you understand the mechanics of qualifying them, building rapport, and having conversations and getting to that negotiation piece, oh my God, then you're happy to pay for leads. And that's all I want. So some people do it in the first few months. Some people take years. It doesn't matter. We're all different.
Mhm.
I learned terribly in school. I didn't understand because I didn't conform to the traditional school teaching.
Mhm.
And because of that, that's who the man I am today. And that's the skill sets I've taught to my son. But I was told, because I didn't fit in the herd mentality, I'm going to fail miserably. And I stuck to my guns. It was painful, but I've always been who I am. So don't change what you're doing. You can, and by the way, guys, you can use a combo of both. I'm not saying you can't, but the reality is I'd get as much human practice as I can humanly possibly. And by the way, I know all this AI technology is going to help us out. It's never going to replace the response of a human, because to this date, I'm going on 21 years. I still get responses. I'm like, what? 20 years into the business. For the most part, I can break down anyone's objection to 5 or 6 objections every time. And I know how to do it. In the beginning, I didn't know how to do that. And I wasted a lot of time and money because I paid for leads and I didn't know what I was doing. Why? Because my guru told me to do that. And that's what got me into trouble, like a lot of times. And then when I went out and figured out how to do it on my own and I put in the time, it was, I don't know. There's something about when you figure out how to do something on your own, it's very satisfying.
Definitely.
And you can master anything in life today. YouTube has proven this to you time and time again. Why should we make wholesaling any different?
Yeah, agreed.
So listen, start looking at the time you're logging in. And once you get to 1,000 hours, then we can have a serious conversation. But like, you got to get like that first deal. And then once you start to get confident in your ability to talk to people, how do you gauge your confidence? Number one, the amount of hours and phone calls you make. And number two, are you getting contracts? Because part of it is getting to the contract. Sometimes you guys get the price wrong and you learn and you get out of the contract and you learn how to talk to your cash buyers and put it all together. But you guys are going to go through a journey in 2023. It's going to make you an incredible wholesaler, because it's not the easiest thing in the world right now. It's just the truth. Every guru tells me it's simple as pie. I just flip them on the beach. It's not, dude, guys. I started at 7 a.m. this morning. I've been busting my butts. I take this time and I talk to you guys, and I have struggles just like you guys do. But I keep doing it. I enjoy what I do. And what I think's hard is actually easy. And I never forget the day I sat in your shoes, Fred. And dude, I had so much self-doubt. So don't psych yourself out before you even start the game, because you're going to get behind. You are just as good as I am. Here's the only difference. I just done it longer and more consistent about it. Because here's how people do wholesaling. Most people try it out for a month, 2, maybe 3, and they quit. I would probably say 90% of the people follow that model. So you have to find a way to survive it. So how long have you been doing it for?
Well, I mean, on and off, Rick. I mean, obviously, I've been making ends meet in other ways, and then obviously,
and so did I. I had a regular job when I did this.
Absolutely, and this is obviously an afternoon evening venture because of the time difference in the UK. So it kind of works out well, but at the same time, obviously, there's only so much candle that there is to burn. So on and off, I toyed with the idea last year, and in it's like November time, I sort of made a decision. Right, as of December, I'm going to get my head down, and then. But I told Zach the other night, I was apprehensive to get somebody to sign on a contract because I didn't want to. In all honesty, and this is the complete honest truth, I just didn't want my first deal to roll over. I didn't want my first contract to be one that didn't get pushed onto a buyer and it to not sell. And obviously, I've just got all these reservations for a number of reasons.
So just let it go.
Yeah, I will.
You're going to make mistakes, and understanding it and moving forward. Stop. Realtors wait for the perfect contract. You can't.
No.
We don't. We have to write them, and here's the reality. I still have to get out of contracts every now and then.
All right. Don't worry.
In the beginning, it was painful. And guys, I didn't even know what I was doing. I just know I need to get the best price, and you need to spend time trying to find the cash buyers to figure out where their headset is. They are a pain in the butt right now. I am all on the same board with you guys. I mean, I have deals right now. I'm just like, oh my God, is that smoking? They're like, I need it $15,000 cheaper. I'm just like, because my staff comes back to me like, Rick, some of these deals are really hard to move now. And this isn't going to last like this forever. So if you can figure it out now, it's going to be amazing. But so stop beating yourself up. You're your own worst critic. If you make a mistake, what's the worst case scenario, Fred?
It rolls over and I find my way out of the contract.
Get out of the contract and you move on and you apologize. And then maybe you can renegotiate it. Maybe they'll be a little bit more realistic and you can move on from there. We are not here to hurt people. We are only here to help people. And if the contract doesn't work for you and your cash buyer, then you have to get out and you move on. And listen, I don't want you to get the wrong price, but we can wait and study this stuff for years to get to the perfect contract. It's not going to get you to the finish line. And so a lot of times, if you do what you fear the most and just get it over with, you go, so worst case scenario, it doesn't work out. What's your worst fear? You get out of the contract. It's embarrassing. Like you just like big deal. They just want too much for their house and you felt for their sob story and you go like, okay, now I know I just got to work with motivated sellers, and you live and you learn. But guys, let me tell you what, I've put contracts under tight numbers and I've made $30,000, $40,000 profits. So if you constantly try to protect your downside, you're going to kill your upside. So remember, I'm not out here to put properties under contract and waste people's time, because I'm going to waste my time. But every now and then you got to understand, you're going to have to do it, especially with you being in the UK. You're doing something unique and I commend you for it. I think it's absolutely amazing, but don't let it hold you back, man. Like it's just, you got to think like the fighter's mentality. You just got to fight through it and get through it. So many times when a fighter walks in the ring, do you know 90% of them, some of them are beaten before they even throw the first punch, because it's in their head. They're like, this guy's going to kill me. He's more experienced. He knows what he's doing. And honestly, that guy's thinking on the other side, he goes, man, this young guy's going to take me out because he's fearless. And you have this battle before you even touch gloves. Guys, I used to wrestle. I used to psych myself out before I even started in high school. And I've learned it's just another man. They're no different than me. It doesn't matter what their skin color. It doesn't matter where they're from. We're all humans and we're all connected. And with AI going in the future, you're going to be able to more easily crack the code being in a international market. And so, shoot, maybe one day I got to come over there and try to figure out how to flip properties over there. My wife, like, her favorite place in the world is to go to the UK. So it's like, she's like, can't you get over there and do something? I go, I've been over there once. I'll figure out another time to go over it. But like, honestly, you guys are your biggest opponent. I was my biggest opponent. No one ever took me out other than myself. And then the minute I started comparing myself to others, like, you have no idea what's going on. Everything online, most of it's fake. It's just the truth. That's why I make everything for free, because I can't fake it with you. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time. And if you understand that, stop beating yourselves up in the head, guys. Like, it's you against the world. The only thing you need to compare yourself is cross country is the perfect sport, in my opinion, because you're only racing against your previous time. You cannot let the race dictate how you run it. So have you ever been in a race, especially as a kid?
Yeah, I used to race motocross, turbokes.
Yeah, but you tend to pace the person to the left and right of you, right? And the minute you get out in front, you're like, okay, I'm going to let it back a little bit. And so if you predetermine the race is, okay, the first 2 miles, here's the RPMs I'm going to get, and here's the time I want to come in. And no matter what anybody else does, that's what I'm sticking to. So you see this all the time with marathon runners. Until the very end, you cannot pace. And you guys constantly try to pace yourself against keyboard warriors that are doing nothing. Yeah. The only thing you're competing against is yourself. Make yourself 1% better every day. And the minute you stop comparing yourself to other people, you're not Rick, you're not Zach, you're Fred. And that's all I need you to be. And don't change who you are, accent you are. You have unique challenges, so you're going to have to go the extra mile. But I got to tell you, you're very confident. You're fun to talk to. It's just you're going to have to put in the time, and you're just going to have to keep adapting your list, the free list. And then once you get that, you get some money, you can decide how you want to do, because you could really leverage direct mail, especially being overseas.
Definitely, that's my plan. But I wanted to put like a sort of commitment out there, because I said to Zach that the other day, I said I'm confident I can go back and get this contract, and they haven't answered since. But I've been in sales before, and that's part and parcel, right?
Yeah. So people love to ghost you. So the most critical thing to understand is, especially in the beginning, when you get somebody on the phone and they're open to talking to you and there's some sort of motivation, sometimes you got to get as much information as you can while they're willing, because boy, do they shift quickly when they get off the phone, and it drives me nuts. But that's part of the game. So sometimes at the beginning, especially being overseas, it's critical you get as much information as humanly possible. Additional cell phones, emails, everything, so you can connect with them and make sure, because when they start ghosting you, it's a lot more work, especially between time zones and distance. So
excellent stuff. All right, I'll record more information. I just wanted to put a sort of a goal out there, in front of everybody, or the whole community, and I wish everybody every success the coming week. But by next Friday, I want to have a contract, and I want to.
Don't be scared of the contract not working out. You got to get past that. You get past it, you just write a contract.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a contract by next week, by next Friday.
Awesome. Okay, Fred, go get it, man.
Good luck to everybody, including yourself.
I'll see you, man.
Thank you, mate.
Caleb, you there?
Yo, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. Dude, listen, dude. I was just on the phone to the city of Fayetteville. Well, I live in Arkansas.
Okay.
And I was trying to get the water shut off list, bro. And it was so bad, dude. Like they was just so disrespectful. And I was like, isn't this public information? And dude, it was so bad. I called another surrounding city, and it was the exact same thing. And I'm trying to file a FOIA Act or whatever it's called, like the Freedom of I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, it's called
So,
FOIA. So it stands for Freedom of Information Act. And honestly, you want to know the truth on the FOIA?
What?
It's an empty threat.
What?
It's just going to waste your time. You can use it as a threat. But honestly, guys, the FOIA thing has to be like the final bomb you drop on somebody. Because it's going to, once you do that, they shut you off. And you're looking at months, even if they're forced to give you the data. So you got to understand that going into it. So are you doing this virtually or in your local market?
I'm in my local market, but yeah, virtually because I don't have a ride right now. So I'm basically doing virtual, but in my local market.
Got it. Okay. So you have some challenges with transportation. So you know that going in person increases your odds exponentially. A phone call would be number 2, but it's easy for people to hang up. An email, they pretty much discount you. You'd have to do massive amount of quantity to make that happen. So I want you to understand this, guys. When it comes to any type of list, probates, code violations, water shutoffs, fire damage, those 4 lists I just gave you, in reality, they are public information. Those lists are funded with our hard-earned tax dollars. Nobody debates that. Okay? So you are right when you say it's public record. Yeah. The challenge is the government entities, agencies that run this have what they call privacy policies. And you have to understand there's a distinct difference between public record and private policy. Yeah. So understanding that private policy is what you got to crack the code on. Yeah. That's it. You have to figure out how to navigate through their policies to get the information, or if you can even get the information. And you're not going to get 100% compliance on a lot of them. And understanding that is the biggest play that you have to understand. Because so many of you go, well, it's public record, it's public record. What they're telling you is our privacy policy says we can't do this unless you do that. So sometimes you have to play the stupid game with them. Unfortunately, an email and a phone call, they are told to blow you off. Like they're not going to comply and do it. When you go in person, they have more challenges because you can do some bigger threats that make it a major issue. And I want you guys to understand that. You have to now decipher the privacy policy. And you know how you do that?
What?
You're going to have to befriend the person you're talking to, either in person, which is much more effective, or on the phone. You're going to have to sweet talk your old rapport conversation skills and figure out. Remember, they are regular people with government jobs. They want to get home to their families and they just want to pay their bills. So you're going to have to become their advocate and get on their sides. Go, listen, I know, I get it. You have privacy policies. Can you just help me navigate through it? I want to use this list for the correct reasons. So number 1, how did you request the list?
So what do you mean? I just called the utility department. Is that what you mean or something else? Yeah.
So tell me what you say. I got to fix something while you do that.
Dude, honestly, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I kind of got mad, man. I kind of blew up a little bit because the girl I was talking to was actually mad disrespectful, and honestly, I got disrespectful, man. I got mad.
So you know where I'm going with this. So you guys, you cannot blow your tops off on these people. Number 1, they're not paid enough. And number 2, they don't need to put up with your crap. So understanding, if you're trying to get your basic, so a lot of you think, well, they work for the government, I pay their bill, they need to comply with me. No, it doesn't work that way. A lot of them tell you, my job's not to get you less. So you actually have to treat it like a friend that's doing a favor for you. And if you'll change your mentality on how you do that, I'm telling you, it will change how you think about this business. The FOIA thing, I really regret ever throwing that out there because I did take that action once. in all truth, it took 3 months for them to give me the information. It was a waste. So when you get the FOIA Act, they're never going to help you out again. Like they're like, oh, here comes the FOIA guy, because you can make their life hell if you want to. But do you really want to be that person that walks in the door or phone call or email that does that? They're never going to do
Man, I
that.
hate being that guy. Honestly, I hate it.
So you're going to have to pivot on how you do this, and you're going to have to figure another way to attack it. So do they know your name and stuff?
Yeah, bro, it's over. Like, there's no way I can call back.
What I would do is, man, I'd consider like finding a ride or someone to help you, like going around today, buy them lunch and go around a couple offices and just start over in person, man. Because I would not be calling with your name there, dude. I wouldn't give you the time of day if you threatened me.
Yeah, no,
as a government employee, guys, they don't make a lot of money. You're just creating more work for them. So, like right here, let me tell you, this is my old school tactics. Whoever posts this, amen to you. I used to bring donuts. You know why? Because you hear a dirty little secret. Because I share way too much information, guys. I used to work for Enterprise Leasing. You know, Will Ferrell says they give you the tools to be your own boss.
Yeah.
Hated that job every day of my life. But they taught me how to go around those sales calls and drop off donuts. And my managers, they taught me that you have to bribe people to exchange to get information sometimes. And to this day, it's still true. Dude, donuts is a big motivator for a lot of people. It's something about it wakes up your morning, but it's not always donuts. Coffee's risky because it can get cold. Cookies in the afternoon, guys. You're like simple holiday cards. And by the way, I bribe everybody. Like I do it legally and ethically. I give away Christmas cookies. I bring treats. I buy lunches. Because when you have tight times, you need people to help you out. And there's no different in Port St. Lucie, guys, don't duplicate and go to my office. I worked with the same girl for 4 years. Now, it took me 3 months to break her. It was my job. And then when I couldn't get the probates, I would send my wife in. Because sometimes us guys, we just don't register. She's in a girl in it. My wife goes, here's the list. I go, are you kidding me? I've tried that for a month and a half. She goes, she don't like you. She thinks she goes, she thinks you're, you know what? I'm like,
oh, dang, man.
Oh, guys, like, think about this. Think outside the box. If you can't attack, sometimes you switch up from a male role to a female. If you have a wife or you have a female partner, like sometimes it's just a change of the type of person that goes and gets them. And you got to change your approach when you attack these lists. You already know you're up against the wall getting these lists on the phone. So if you go in with a nasty attitude and a threatening attitude, I'm not surprised with what you're telling me.
Yeah, I messed up, man. Honestly, I'm not going to
just restart, apologize, like figure out how you want to, and just understand. Everybody on this, understand you've got to reattack and do it right. But the FOIA thing, listen, you can threaten the government with whatever you want. They work at a speed so slow, it's painful. So if you can bribe them with some donuts or cookies like that, go for it. To me, it's cheaper than like waiting 4 months to get the wrong information. So I regret throwing out the FOIA thing because when I taught probates, I go, worst case scenario, you can ask to do the FOIA Act. Of all the times, the one time I threatened it, it was honestly, it cost me about 40 hours of my time. I had to consult with lawyers. It wasn't worth it. And by the time I got the information, it was terrible. So
yeah,
if you guys want to threaten it, understand it's an empty threat. And I think they all know that now. So throwing it out is not very productive. So
yeah. I'm just going to probably I made the FOIA Act, but since you said that, I'm just not going to send it, I guess. Move on,
dude. It's like, you know, like in our government, when people try to file to get a lot of these like transparency on like private classified documents, it takes them years to get it. So it's a pain in the butt. And like I'm not in the politics. I'm never going to be a government employee. I'd be the worst government employee on the face of the earth. I get why the way they do stuff. And so if you understand that, listen, you can always become resistance with persistence, but it can't be like you can't threaten. You can't do physical like threats. And when you threaten people's jobs or like you yell at them, like yelling at a government
honestly,
employee. By the way, I get yelled at all the time by government employees. I'm like, I don't understand. I just went through like the hell and back getting a roofing permit. It took me 8 weeks to get a permit, which should have taken a day.
Yeah.
They made it so difficult. Why? Well, the problem is all these investors going around recording affidavits left and right. They're changing the court process on how you record affidavits because the days of just recklessly recording an affidavit are probably going to be coming to an end here.
Yeah.
Meaning they're getting overwhelmed at the court system and it's screwing up a lot of people's titles and stuff. So if they're being extra careful on a roofing permit, imagine when someone files something to do their novation. And by the way, novations with a 50% fail ratio, you are at major risk as an investor if you use that strategy. Just my 2 cents on it. So just reattack on how you address them, and I think you'll be fine. And remember, you're not going to bat 100%.
Okay, so
if you go for 10 lists and you get 3, great. Work on the 3 and then try to progress to get as many of the others as you can.
Okay, so should I get PropStream? Or I just started. I used to do wholesaling back in the day, like maybe 6 months ago. But then I went to car flipping, and I had a property under contract, and the buyer went behind me or whatever, and he talked to the seller, and basically that fell apart. And after that happened, go ahead.
Did you have it under contract?
I did, but I didn't know anything about wholesaling at all, really. I just watched a couple videos. I started with another guy on YouTube, and I got a property under contract really simple, really easily off Facebook. And I talked to the guy, and this is what really happened. He told me to we needed a new contract. So I said, yeah, sure. I mean, if we need a new contract, we need a new contract. So we wrote a new contract, and he had an inspection period. He had a hard money lender. He had all these things.
Yeah.
And then we went back to the original seller. And this is what actually really happened. I got it mixed up. The seller didn't want to sign the new contract. So the whole thing fell. And it was such a good deal, man. It was a great deal. I had 20, 15K for sure on that deal. Quick.
So listen, Caleb, you've got to understand the fundamentals of wholesaling. You can't do this by feel. And when somebody tells you to rewrite a contract, it's not usually in your advantage right off the bat. Just if you have a good deal, why are you going to, once you start changing paperwork, people get squirrely. Yeah. And usually when you're changing paperwork, there's a reason for it. Somebody has an agenda and you're just too new to the business to understand that. So at Free Wholesaling, we teach you, use this contract, don't change it. And when you sell your contract, use this assignment contract. Do not change one word in it. You just change the numbers and the dates. That's it. The minute people start asking you to change stuff, they're trying to manipulate you. You just don't understand it. And the minute you go, well, I'm going to be the easy guy, the nice guy here, you will get run under the bus 95% of the time. And so you got to understand it is you just got to stick it out. So the deal didn't work out. But I will tell you, you probably learned some valuable lessons on it, and you probably will never do that again going forward. Guys, when someone asks you to change a contract, it's not good. It's just not good. Do an amendment to it if you want to change something. But once you start canceling that contract, you're at risk. That's how people backdoor you in this business.
Yeah.
When your cash buyers start trying to manipulate your assignment agreement, you're going to get screwed. Guys, I've been screwed so many times. There's nothing you can tell me that doesn't shock me.
Yeah.
You just got it. Once you get the motivated seller and they're confident and they believe in you, write a contract. It's your job to follow the fundamentals of wholesaling. And the minute something doesn't well, Rick and Zach never taught me to do this and that. There's a reason why we tell you do follow this process and don't change it. I had someone tell me, go, Rick, the guy made me change this and this on my assignment agreement and I got screwed. I go, yeah, because you took the clause out of there. He knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
In my assignments, just so you guys know, I've had so many people agree to assignment and they sign it, and then I have to chase them around for a deposit. And then I get a really good buyer the next day, goes, I'll give you 10 grand more than he did. And then I'm stuck trying to get this guy to release me out of an assignment contract without a deposit. So I wrote my contract. If you don't have a deposit I think mine's 24 hours where you can put the time on it, it's null and void. I don't have to chase you around. I don't have time to do this stuff. People will manipulate you. You give them if you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. I'm telling you, you've got to learn the fundamentals of wholesaling. Freewholesaling.com. I teach, don't change the contract. It's a manipulation. Someone knows more than you and they want to manipulate. So just because you don't understand everything you need about wholesaling doesn't mean you wait. So you have to be disciplined. When people tell you, I want to use my title company, there is a reason for it. They're secretly not sharing it with you. It's going to be a disaster. Most likely your deal is going to fail, because if you use their title company, that is not a neutral party. That is like that's like being a visitor on the other person's field. You're going to get, I'm just like, oh, it's a title company. They all do the same. They don't. I'm telling you, 95% of title companies are built for the retail realtor, not for us. So when you take it to a realtor, they're like, we don't do assignment of contracts, and that's a scam, and I'm going to advise my client to get out of it. What do you mean your client? That's my client. Like, no. They called us for the title company, and you lose control of the deal really fast. So a lot of times I tell people, I go, listen, if you have a contract, they agreed to your title company, you're going to have to talk to them and play nice with them, but tell them, like, this is really non-negotiable for me. The reason we don't want you to switch title companies is because the deal won't work. 9 times out of 10. By the way, I lost a $150,000 deal because I broke this rule. I will never, ever switch my title companies unless I take possession of the property and I'm selling it for retail. Then I don't care.
Yeah.
So every rule we have in freewholesaling.com is because I got screwed somewhere, somehow. So I've already gone through all the pain for you. So if you stick to it. Number 2, do the car flipping thing. Houses is a natural progression. It's a much bigger number. And you're going to have to pick which one you want to do. If you got to do that to make ends meet for now, but I'm just telling you, you've already proved wholesaling works. You just got to learn discipline.
Yeah, that's one thing I lack, man. I lack a lot of discipline.
No, but like, that's it. So listen, I write a contract. That's it. I'm in control of the seller. If somebody wants to switch something, put your money where your mouth is. Like, I ain't switching anything until you do this.
Yeah.
Like, you control the contract. The only way you transfer it is with an assignment of contract, and they have to have money on the line. Because if they screw you, they have a non-refundable deposit. You have leverage. When you do stuff as a favor to people you don't know, that's how you get run over in this business. And you just got to stop making your previous mistakes. Because if you make the same mistake over and over, it ain't a mistake anymore. You're doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm here to tell you, you have the ability to do it. You've already proven it. Imagine what you could do if you did this business full time. I'm telling you, just stick to your guns. And don't and once you get a couple years under you, then if you want to deviate, but I'm just telling you, that's usually when you get killed the most. I lost 150 grand because I thought I knew everything.
Yeah, that's
you
crazy.
guys know I've lost. I once contracted an entire hotel on the beach through an amazing rapport I built with this little old lady. And I didn't listen, and I thought I knew how to do everything. I lost almost $1 million to a hurricane because of an insurance policy, and then the property got deemed, and I still made a lot of money with it, but I thought I was going to hit it out of the park, and I didn't get the best advice in the world, and it cost me a ton of money. So I was a rookie doing the commercial. It was like one of my first commercial deals. You're still new to single family house flipping. If you just stick to freewholesaling.com, we'll show you the rules and navigate you so these people can't take advantage of you guys. By the way, do you know there's a certain demographic out there that targets people that are brand new to wholesaling, and they will manipulate and talk you into doing all this paperwork so they can screw you over? There's a people who make an entire living off of this, and you guys have to avoid them like the plague. The minute they start doing this crazy stuff, like, here's an example. Great, I was sending the assignment a contract. It's a $5,000 non-refundable deposit. No, I don't leave that much. They're telling you they're going to screw you. You just don't understand it yet. And they're going to go, no, what's the big deal? You know, I'll leave you $100. It'll be fine. And then you're going to go through a 30-day emotional roller coaster, and you're going to go, God, I wish I never did business with this person. Follow me up front. They're going to get all mad at you and scream at you. And you go, listen, Rick just saved me a ton of hassle. And that's how we teach you with wholesaling. I'm just telling you, man, this won't be the last time you do it. You got to come up with a regimen and stick to it. And you can't let people take advantage of you and talk you into these crazy things. You'll stop yelling at people to get the government list, stuff like that. So I'm just telling you, man, you got to follow a plan to move through it. And it's not, everyone's like, well, I'll just hire a wholesale coach. And dude, your problems are just beginning when you hire those guys, because they're clueless. Like, they're just like, here's what you need to do. You need to spend $10,000 a month on direct mail. Come on, man.
No, I went through all the freewholesaling.com. I went through it all. I made all notes. I have everything on my computer. And I guess like the best thing I can do is probably just get PropStream and just pull like niche list or whatever you guys call it, whatever that word
You
is.
get 10,000 leads a month.
Yeah, PropStream is probably the way to
I
go.
I never make it a requirement for you guys to buy anything. Like you could do it all without it. Will some of this make it easier? Yeah, spending $100 a month is a lot cheaper than hiring a $3,000 to $4,000 a month employee. Trust me, I tried all that stuff. You guys don't know how good you have it with technology today. It's ridiculous, and it's about to get even more insane. So if you can afford to do it, it's to go, listen, okay, $100, that's all I can spend right now, maybe a little bit of skip tracing, and come up with a budget and execute a plan. You need to stay on point with discipline and execute. And when you get a deal on it, go, once I have it under contract, I'm staying in my lane. I'm not going to let someone talk me into something. I'm using my title company, I'm using my contracts, and I'm using my assignment of contracts. And if anybody wants to waiver on this stuff, I know I'm going to filter. A lot of people complain about cash buyers vetting them. You call 10 cash buyers, like when you have a deal, and 8 of them will go, I don't want to send you a proof of funds. That's not fair. Why should you get my information? Have a nice day. Thank you.
That's
They're
all.
telling you they don't have money up front. I tried forever to figure out every cash buyer. Guys, I'm a cash buyer. I buy plenty of stuff cash. You send me a great deal, I'll send you proof of funds in 10 seconds because I know how valuable deals are like that to come across my plate. Most likely you have another wholesaler trying to daisy chain your deal, and that's why you're getting the BS runaround. And the minute you start to cut through people's crap, the better you can do.
Yeah, I went to Zillow for sell by owners, and it was bad, man. Like it was so saturated, it was crazy. Zillow for sell by owners.
But I'm telling you, got the skill set. You've already proven it. You're just a little undisciplined, and you need to get a little more direction. But remember, at the end of the day, you have to make yourself accountable. No paid coach is ever going to do that for you because when you pay them, are they really making you accountable? If you can't make yourself accountable, you'll never succeed in this business. It is when you decide to do that, you're like, okay, I'm doing it, man. Some people, I tell you, just burn the ships and do it, man, because if you thought it was scary with what you're doing now. So how old are you?
I just guessed, man. How old do I look? How old?
Boy, see, now you got to get me in trouble. So you're not a chick, so I can get away with this.
No.
26?
Nah, man. Nah, younger.
Okay, 18.
Older.
Okay, so I'm somewhere in the middle. Just spit it out because I only got so much time.
22.
There you go.
22.
Okay, so I taught my son this business at 17, so age is not an issue. So it's you got to understand when I started, I had what I thought was a big mortgage at the time, which really wasn't a lot. I had 2 young children, and I had a crap load of debt. Yeah. And I was horrified, man. And I was what I thought leaving that, like, it was a decent paying job, but it was torture. It was 70, 80 hours a week, on call 6 days a week. I hated every minute of it. So I said, screw it. I'm just going to do it. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen in my life? I can always go back and do a job like this. They're a dime a dozen. Yeah. And that's how I looked at when I did it. And so you're going to have to make some decisions what you do. Dude, you're so freaking young. You have like the entire world in front of you. You got to try to find the sea and the ocean that you want to paddle in. And the sooner you can find it out, it is better, but it's not the end of the world, guys. Honestly, I didn't get my traction until my late 30s. It's okay. Yeah.
I found out what I want to do. I want to do real estate, but like I have no money. So like, this is the best thing, I guess, in real estate to do. It's just
do
real estate wholesaling.
Then do it. You got to stick to some rules when you get stuff under contract.
Yes.
You can be a wild child till you get to that. Once you get to the contract, think about that. You're basically a football team on the 2-yard line. You just need to punch the damn thing in the end zone. It's first and goal, 2 yards. I would go with the plays that had the highest probability and just do it. That's why they try 2 runs and usually 2 passes at the end.
Yeah.
That's all you need to do. If you understand that, then you're fine. The minute someone tries to navigate, you go, let's change this. Let's do that. Zach told me about this. This is where I'm going to get screwed. Yeah. And when you see it coming before it comes, it's incredible. Honestly, dude, if I told you how many times I got ran over, check this out. Once, when I was much younger, I found a deal off of a foreclosure. I door knocked. Lady's like, I'm desperate to sell my house. I go, man, it almost sounds too good to be true. It was. I signed a contract with her only to find out after the fact she was in a contract for 6 months with an unruthless wholesaler, and the house was being sold in 10 days at an auction. I got a lawyer involved. I got everything done. I got all this help. I did it. I made like a $20,000 assignment fee. She got out. She got equity at the house. Everybody wins, right?
Yeah.
Wrong. I got sued. And I was set up by the homeowner. They had an agreement with the other wholesaler, and she testified against me and wrote an affidavit. And I found out they were in cahoots. So not only did she get her money, he cut a deal with her to split the proceeds from suing me. And I've just learned, after I learned, my attorney says this guy sued 42 other people and it's a scam they set up. But guess what?
Dang.
I said initially, I go, this is too good to be true. It never happens this way. And my gut intuition was right. And I got so excited, I just went forward. And if I just took some time to do some more diligence, it cost me about 50 grand out of my pocket.
So like how do you stop that from happening? You just had to do more due diligence. How do you know?
So they were in a huge hurry, like too much of a hurry. And I got fooled into it. And
Okay.
I was naive and I thought I was getting a really good deal. I thought I was helping out. And then, I gave up my title company and I used theirs. That's where I got killed.
Dang.
And that's when all the stuff, and then I find out they manipulated the contracts. I rushed through the closing and I signed a hold harmless, and they were supposed to sign a hold harmless and their side didn't sign it. And that's how they countersued me. And
Okay.
guys,
So,
the name of a lawsuit is to leverage money out of you. It's never to win the lawsuit. It's to leverage it. And
yeah.
because I wasn't disciplined, I got in trouble with it. And I'm just telling you, like, I don't do that stuff anymore. Like when people try to rush me through a transaction, I go, okay, am I missing something here? And I ask them. And then I'll give it to the title company. I go, something doesn't seem right with this. Can you do some deep digging? And so remember, writing the initial contract, you can't get in trouble. It's when you go to the title company and they go, hey, something came out of the woodworks, this or that. And I'm not telling you guys to scare you. I'm just telling you a lot of times your gut instinct is correct in this business.
So why is it so important, like, to use your own title company? Why is that?
Because
super
they look
important?
out for your back and they understand what you're doing.
Okay.
And they'll tell you when people go, this guy keeps calling me, there's something fishy going on here. So the other day we had a deal, and my title person goes, hey, the guy's called me 5 times. I think you have a problem with this guy. I go, okay, I'll call him right now. We called him. I go, listen, you have a non-refundable deposit. He goes, yeah, I want to talk to you about that. I'm like, there's no talking. It's set in stone. You agreed to it. You were going to follow through or you're going to lose it.
Yeah.
I do not negotiate with people once they've signed contracts and done everything. You have to be flexible with the sellers, but when it comes to my cash buyers, you signed the agreement, you're going to follow through with it. And here is the finality if you don't do it. So
Yeah.
dude, you got to make a decision. You're still really young. It doesn't matter with that. Like you have your whole life in front of you. If you want to do this, I would go all in and dive in. I don't think you'll go wrong with the prop stream. And me and Zach show you how to use it. And I think it's like really cool. Like I think it's an amazing piece of technology. And you being a one-person operator, it's not a bad. You can use batch, you can use prop, use Zach data, you can use listrei.com. I don't care. Like honestly, I make everything free for you guys. So it's we use them both in our business. I max them out like crazy, and honestly, I couldn't run my business without them. But I use ListSource, CoreLogic for the better part of my life. And guys, by the way, it was $1,500 a month, and that was a lot more. And that was in today's money. My God, that was what it was 10 years. 15 years ago, compared to today, this is dirt cheap stuff, man. You really got to look at it. So if you cut out a couple coffees and a couple dinners, you're right there.
Yeah, I mean, I basically got everything. I just need to get the deal because I just found a title company that works with investors and wholesalers. So I guess now is just finding the deal. It's always that first deal. That's always the hardest, It's always the hardest.
Now you got it. You were there before. You just like got to stick to some discipline. You'll do fine. So.
Okay, man. Well, okay, man. I appreciate you, man.
Okay, go back and make up with the person at the government agency. Okay, and guys, understand the FOIA, man. It's like an empty thread. I wouldn't even go there anymore because I think a lot of them have like figured out they're never going to do a FOIA. It's like when that person goes, "I'm going to sue you." I laugh my butt off when people tell me that. I'm like, obviously, you don't understand how lawsuits work. Yeah. Lawsuits are complex. They're expensive and they're emotionally draining for people. And people don't understand just the basics of a lawsuit. there's no lawyer on this earth that will take a retainer less than $5,000 or $10,000 just to hear your problem.
Yeah, it was a waste of time for sure.
Yeah, so it's like when you do the FOIA, like I'm telling you, when you see the paperwork and all the crap you got to do, it's like, and you, by the way, you're not going to get the result you want in the end. So just understand that, and you
right.
tried it, and just learn from your mistakes. The key here is don't repeat them.
I know. But I need to find some other people like to actually do this with. I want a JV, man. I'm a people's guy, so like I need to like.
Okay, well, there's so look at some of the Zach's done some interviews. I have people that in this thread comment, I'm not going to throw out names, but they constantly come to the lives and they find people to JV with them. Now, me and Zach do JVs. We're selective about it because I do this for free. It's got to make sense. But I have one person that's done like, I don't know, like 25, 30 deals in my group.
That's crazy.
Why? Because he just knows how to talk to people. He makes it very attractive and he doesn't screw people over. Now, I don't publicly endorse people because I'm careful with it, but I'm telling you, if you want to do that, you can make an entire business built around it. You just got to add value and help people out. That's all you need. So,
for sure. I'll make a way, man. I appreciate you though, man.
Okay, man. Go get it, man. Go apologize to her.
All right, peace out.
Okay, see ya. Lorena, you there?
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm phenomenal. What's going on? What can I help you out with?
Yes. So thank you so much for, picking on me. I wasn't sure, but first of all, thank you so much for what you and Zach do. I'm really new to wholesaling. I kind of came across Flip with Rick maybe at the end of November. But I know there's probably other people waiting. So I'm in South Carolina, which is an attorney state. And I just have a quick question with probates. So I had saw a past video where you had stated to not deal with the attorney if you can avoid it and just go directly with the PR to get them under contract. But we are an attorney state. Would I run into any issues when I do come to closing, or is that something just let them know up front?
Okay. So an attorney state, don't confuse that with probate itself. So
Okay.
when Lorena says attorney state, it means her state requires an attorney to be present for a real estate closing, correct?
Yes, sir.
So now you have to find out if there's any correlation with like a probate lawyer. Now, here's the problem. I got 3,500 counties. For me to break down every county, I have to take probably a year just to do that. I'm not going to do that. So number one, talk to your title company. They will educate you. Just because you have to have an attorney present for the closing of the property doesn't mean you have to have an attorney present. So let me ask you, if you enter into a regular contract in South Carolina, do you have to have an attorney present to enter into a purchase and sale agreement with a seller? Yes or no?
I believe so. I think so.
That would be hard to do. That means everyone would have to schedule an attorney for any contract. It would be overwhelming. So unless I'm wrong about this, I'm not a lawyer. I don't even pretend to be a lawyer. So here's how probate mostly works. Is probate in itself is an act by the government system to finalize the final affairs of a person that's passed away. Why? Because bank accounts, stocks, bonds, real estate, cars, boats, trucks, whatever, the only way you can pass title is someone has to sign it over. Well, if they're deceased, obviously they can't sign it over, so I have to enter a court agreement.
Mm-hmm.
A probate, usually the biggest asset is the house. So how do they open up probate? In most states, and you can read your statutes on this, and you can talk to your title company, is they file a petition to grant a PR, which is a personal representative or an executor. Now they have the same legal authority as that person that owned the property before, and they're usually the most responsible person in the family affairs. And their job is to either keep the house, fix it up, whatever they want to do it, and most people choose to sell it. Once they have the legal authority, if they choose to sell the house on the market, off the market, however they want to do it, it's up to them. If you enter into a legal agreement, now you have a legally binding contract. You typically would take that to your title company and follow your state statutes on how to correctly close that property. I highly doubt you have to have an attorney every time you do a contract, because that means in reality is like, okay, you have to do that with your internet contract, with your cable contract, with your car contract. It's a contract's a contract. Like, it doesn't matter if it's tiny or it's huge. So there wouldn't be enough attorneys in the world to even do that, in my opinion. But maybe I'm wrong. If somebody puts in the comments. So what I'm telling you is, If you enter into agreement with that PR or the executor, once you have the agreement is now you just go through the court process and the title company and your state statutes to close that property. That's it. The minute you try to go through that attorney, you are going to be so roadblocked, it's going to be disgusting. Ask me how I know this. I initially started out doing probates, trying to go through the probate attorney. I literally got nowhere. I couldn't get a deal signed. And then I asked my attorney, I go, do I need to go through him? He goes, no, you can just go. If you can go straight to the seller, you'd knock yourself out. Attorneys move very slow. They want appointments. I go to the seller. I go, listen, if you want to sell your property and you're tired of it, you want to minimize the expense and get rid of the headache, you have the ability to sign a contract now. Once you sign the contract, we can give it to the title company, and then we'll request the attorney to liquidate the asset. This is normal process. Attorneys won't share with you because they don't feel like they can make money off of it. Mm-hmm. So they tell everybody in probate, you have to wait till the probate process is done. It's a lie. It's not it. Think about if you had a $10 million estate and the probate took 2 or 3 years. If you were in a position where you had to overtake that property, could you financially afford to keep it going? You probably couldn't. Mm-hmm. And so they built this loophole in where you can liquidate it to minimize the damage to the estate. So what I'm telling you is you need an attorney to close in your estate. I can't change that. You can't change that. I believe you have the ability to enter into an agreement with a personal representative or an executor of that property through the probate process. If you agree to it, then you just hand it to the attorney and go, do your magic. If you do it the other way, the attorney goes, I need an appraisal. I need a BPO. I got to review the contract. I don't like your contract. Can you change this? Can you leave a $50,000 deposit? Because that would make me feel more comfortable. That's what you're going to get when you try to go through an attorney. They're going to try to stop you at every corner you go at. So if you get a direct link to the seller and you're helping them out and it works for you and it works for the seller, I don't give a crap what the attorney says. Because guess what? He or she's looking out for their best interest, which is not yours. And 9 times out of 10, it's not the seller's. Don't get mad if you're an attorney on there. It's just the truth. It happens all the time to me. I do this all the time. Yesterday, my seller said to me, to my staff member, the attorney said, you flat out cannot sell the property until the probate's complete. And so I had to talk to the attorney. I said, unless you want to put that on public record and be disbarred, it is 100% a lie, and I'll prove it to you. Not only will I prove it to you, I'm going to send you an email with 236 properties I've done the exact same thing to. So that means 236 lawyers were wrong, judges were wrong, and title companies were wrong. I think the numbers are on my side. So I never get, and by the way, you'll never win the argument with the attorney. They are professional arguers. So understand that. And if you know that, then go with the seller. Once you have that, then you have leverage. And the attorney, they might stall you, but they can't get rid of you. The other way around, they're going to tell you, I don't like your contract. You need to pay more. You need a bigger deposit. We need to get an appraisal. A lot of them tell you, we have to list it on MLS for 3 months before we even look at your offer. You're never going to compete on that. So do you understand the correlation now?
I think so. I think I just have to make sure that, like what you said, to make sure.
Talk to your title company first, because it's a free conversation. And then if you need to involve an attorney, they're typically tied to the title company. That's the progression I would do on that. But I'm just telling you, I've done probates like all over the country. There are some states that are a lot stickier than others. I know Colorado is one of the challenging ones, but I've never heard anything come up in South Carolina. So one of the easier ways too is also network with investors in your area. You guys can find them at local RIA groups, real estate investor associations. Just don't go out there and buy all of the courses they sell you, because that's typically what they're there for. Okay.
And I do have one last question. So for us, I was able to find the probate court online on the public index for my county. And I just had a quick question. So I was looking on there and they have like other things that you can look up, like the code violations and that sort of thing. But for some reason, saying that they don't have any files available for the past year. Is that something that if I were to go there in person, would that be any different? Or do you think that the online...
Well, the thing is, so you just got to learn how they operate the system. So it's like I know it's the government, but it's like any other corporation. Like you got to go befriend someone there and just say, can you just walk me through this? Like, how can I get this information? And the nicer and sweeter you are, which by the way, I've never met a nasty person in South Carolina. It's just, you guys are much nicer in that state and the rest of the country could learn. If you go kill people with kindness and compliment them, they will help you out. And that's what I would do. I knew nothing about probates. You know how I learned probates? I sat down at the probate court and there was a clerk there, and she sat there for 45 minutes and walked me through an entire case, what to look for, how to pull it. And guys, it changed my life. Why? Because a man asked for directions. I know that's like ironic, but if you guys sometimes will just ask people to help you out, they'll help you. Nobody knows it better than the government employees themselves because they've been trained on it. So you can try to do it yourself, and you hit roadblocks sometimes by just spending 20, 30 minutes with people. They will save you weeks, if not months of work. And that's the way I would attack it. It's easier to ask first and then to try to figure out everything on your own. But there's some people, all they do is ask and they never figure anything out on their own. But that's a different side of people. So I would go there in person and ask and have them walk through and just kill them with kindness. It works. It works 9 out of 10 times, in my opinion. If you go in and threaten them like Caleb did and like tell you they'll for you, they're going to tell you get lost. And I don't blame them. I'd do the same.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me, and
Okay.
here on the lives just to kind of keep myself accountable. So thank you so much.
You got it. Okay. Thanks, Lorena. So guys, if you want to learn how to do 100K a month in direct mail, guys, go over to Mailing Mastery. I go in the grave depth. There's only so much I can do on this live stream. And guys, make sure you subscribe to this channel, the Flip with Rick, the Rick Ginn channel. I'm releasing videos on there like absolutely insane. The quality like I'm doing of the content, I'm really diving deep because I want to help you guys out as much as possible. And don't forget to check out my son, Zach Ginn. Guys, I appreciate it. Go out there and get deals. And I will see you guys shortly. Have a blessed one. Thank you so much.